We will finish the work. We've put aside $250,000 to finish the work at Raider Hall. We did an experiment this last fall where we had 3 classrooms, I think, that were sort of model classrooms. We asked faculty to look at them. Technology was a little different in each of them. And we said to the faculty, you tell us what layout you like best, and then what we're going to do is go through this whole building, paint the classrooms, put the technology in, put adult, wouldn't this be nice, adult-sized tables and chairs in those rooms to accommodate us, adults. And so that work will be completed. My understanding is, Mike, is that this summer? The goal is before school starts. We'll have Raider completed. Next year, we'll set aside another sum of money, and we're going to start into another classroom building. So the goal is, over time, to walk through whole buildings and get these things up to date. We've been doing this on a hit-or-miss basis for a number of years. You know, a room here and a room there, well, we haven't made good progress. We're going to make some progress. And then also on the capital side, the state put back into the budget this year money for capital maintenance, $600,000, and we have to match it dollar for dollar to get those dollars. So we put $600 in to get $600 for the state. So we'll have $1.2 million. And that's for things like chillers, air conditioning things, major capital things, roofs that we don't normally budget for. You have to have bigger money to do that. So that's kind of on the operating and on the capital side. Let me talk a little bit about parking on the campus, because I think most of you are aware, if you've been reading your email and stuff we've been sending out, that we are going to improve the parking on campus. Now, when I went around talking to departments when I first got here, major topic of conversation, almost every meeting, when are we going to do something about parking? That's kind of the way this conversation is. When are we going to do something about parking? Well, the thing we're going to do about parking is we're going to build some parking garages. The state will not give us a nickel, a dime, or a penny to build a parking garage. They don't fund those things. If we want them, we've got to pay for them. It's kind of like building a student recreation center. You want one? We've got to pay for it. You want a new basketball facility? We want it. We've got to pay for it. The state's not going to put money into that. And so what we've done is we've put in place a new parking fee structure. We will set up an auxiliary enterprise so that all of the additional dollars generated from this fee structure will go into an auxiliary account, and we'll use those dollars for the maintenance of our parking lots and the debt service for parking garages. So it's going to take a few years to build up the money, but my goal would be that we would build the first parking garage about the time we get the new recreation center done, and build it in that area of campus up there, Regents, Wilson, in that area where we can pull a lot of student cars into a parking structure. Parking structures are very expensive. If you can create a place on a flat piece of ground, put asphalt down, it's about $2,000 a parking space. In a parking garage, it's $20,000, or maybe $25,000 to do that. So it'll cost $10 million to build a 500-unit parking garage. But you know what? We don't have enough flat ground around here to pave it all over. And also, it's not environmentally friendly. We've paved a lot around here. In fact, it's kind of ugly in some places what we've done. We've done it because we've had to do it. But I would hope over time when we could reclaim some of this land, maybe turn it back green. One parking garage over there to start, the other one on this end of campus, probably behind the Lappin Hall area eventually is where we would see that going. And some of that would depend on the Board of Education. They have plans to move out to the Technology Center when they move out to 801 to a new facility down the road. So that one may be a little further out, but that would be a good location, I think, to do that. So, what I'm trying to portray here is that in a very difficult budget situation, we were able to meet the demands that we need in terms of operation, in terms of providing some relief for faculty and staff with some salary adjustment, and still continue to plan to do some good things for the campus to move forward. I realize this has been a very challenging year. I mean, if you think it's been challenging, I hope you have a little bit of empathy to kind of say, well, I wonder how it's been for Andrews. And I'm not asking for sympathy. I'm just saying we're in it together, but this has been a tough year. I've spent a lot of time on the road. We've spent a lot of time working with stakeholders to present our issues so that people will understand when you start to cut budgets, even when you have a $120 million budget, take $3.5 million out of it, and some major things have to change. Let me talk a little bit about the pay raise. Our value was, one of the principles that I read to you there early on, we said mission and vision, first and foremost, focus on that, and secondly, pay attention to the core values. The first core value is people come first. And I believe that, and I hope our work here demonstrates that we believe that. It would have been easy this year to say, we're not going to do a pay raise. I asked this morning, we had, well, about a crowd this large, maybe a little larger, how many of you expected a pay raise this year? Same response, nobody raised their hand, nobody expected a pay raise. And it would have been easy for us, I guess, to say, well, we're just going to forego that and put any money that we could into other things. But we believe that you deserve some recognition for your work and some offset for rising costs. So what did we do? Every employee, full-time employee, got $1,000. As I said, we funded the Siegel plan, we funded raises and promotions and all that. The raise pool, if you just take all that money that went to our employees, the raise pool was 2.77%. Some of our employees received salary adjustments at 8%. And the people that got the largest raises among our employees were those at the lower end of the pay scale, those $30,000 and below, and we did it on purpose. I mean, one of the values we said was we want to try to advantage the people that make the least amount of money because they're struggling harder than anybody else. And so, you know, with the Siegel adjustments and all this other stuff, we had raises that went anywhere from 2% to 8%. And we can share detail with you on that if you're interested in that. Let me talk about one other related compensation thing, and that's my compensation, the president's compensation. You've read about that in the newspaper. Everything about my deal is public information. I'm a university employee like you are. But the thing that I would like to emphasize two things, really. First of all, here's how I've approached compensation from the beginning. When Jim Booth called and offered me the job as president of the university in December of '04, he said, Wayne, he's very polite, Dr. Andrews, here's the deal. It's a 4-year contract, the salary is $210,000, and it's you must live in the president's home, there's a car, and he went through the list. And he said, is that acceptable? And I said, Jim, is that package consistent with presidents in Kentucky, in the region, and based on your national consultant that you hired to find a president, is that consistent with what's going on nationally? He said it is. And I said, I'll accept it. I've never had a conversation with the board chair or the board about my compensation since then, unless they've asked me a question. I've never asked for anything. That's how I do it. I just want you to know that, because there are some, I think, that believe that some of us in these jobs are in it strictly for the money, and we want to grab everything we can grab. What the Board of Regents has done for me is what the Board of Regents believed would be appropriate for a person that they think is doing a good job that they wanted to keep in the job. And they made some adjustments to my compensation, and what I said to them was, thank you very much, I appreciate it. And that's the extent of the conversation I had. So that's just the way that is, and I want you to know that. I would be glad to answer any questions about anything, this or anything else that's on your mind, because what I hope we will leave with today is a good feeling about the place where we work, Morehead State University. I've had the privilege of working at 3 other universities and had a great experience at each of those places, and I love this place. I love the mission here. I think what we're doing is the right thing for the people in our region, for our citizens, for the Commonwealth. I'm committed to it, and I hope we as a group continue to be enthusiastic about it, even through more challenging times. And I know this has been a challenge for many of you. So what questions do you have about